2 lines on a pregnancy test, and the questions start flooding in. How far along am I? When is the due date? When do I see a doctor? Today we answer all of them. And the only number you need to remember is 280. Think back to the moment you saw those 2 lines. The joy lasts about a minute, and then you open a search bar. Pregnancy week calculator. It is the first search almost everyone runs, right after a positive test. The questions that follow are predictable. When is the due date? When do I book the first prenatal visit? What trimester am I in? And every single answer comes from one single date. That date is different for everyone. It might be the first day of your last period, or the day you ovulated. And if you conceived through IVF, it is the day of the embryo transfer. Which date you have decides which formula you use. Let's start with the standard formula. Take the first day of your last menstrual period, the LMP, and add 280 days. That is your estimated due date. It is called Naegele's rule, and it is the standard used worldwide. One number to remember today, just 280. The rule makes one assumption. A 28-day cycle, with ovulation on day 14. Count the first day of the LMP as week 0 day 0, and birth lands at week 40 day 0. That is why pregnancy is called a 40-week journey. Here's the part that surprises people. Because weeks are counted from the LMP, not from conception, you are already 2 weeks pregnant on the day you conceive. So if you conceived 6 weeks ago, your doctor says 8 weeks. Not a mistake, just the counting convention. What if you do not remember your LMP? Enter your best estimate, and let the ultrasound correct it. A 6 to 9 week ultrasound dates the pregnancy from the size of the embryo, with about a 3-day margin of error. ACOG calls it the most accurate dating method. If your cycles run shorter than 21 days or longer than 35, ultrasound wins too. The tool shows a 2-week range alongside the result. If you track ovulation, you can do better. With ovulation kits or basal body temperature charts, add 266 days to the ovulation date. That is 280 minus 14. IVF is the most precise of all. A day 3 embryo transfer adds 263 days, and a day 5 transfer adds 261. Why is IVF the most accurate? Because fertilization and transfer are documented to the hour in the lab record. Select the IVF option in the tool, pick day 3 or day 5, and the right formula is applied automatically. So which start point is yours? The answer is simple. Spontaneous conception, use your last period. Tracked your ovulation, use the ovulation date. IVF, use the transfer date. The math itself is the tool's job. The PiPi World's pregnancy calculator gives you the result in 1 second, no sign up. 4 steps. Pick your start point, click one date in the calendar. Read your weeks and due date, and check the prenatal schedule right below. The results screen has everything in one place. Your current count, like 12 weeks 3 days, the estimated due date, the percent of the pregnancy completed, your trimester, and the next milestone. Heart tones, fetal movement, anatomy scan, the moments worth waiting for. Screenshot that screen. It is built for sharing with your partner or your family. When you announce the news, you can say exactly how far along you are, with a number, not a guess. Now a reality check about due dates. Only about 4 to 5% of babies arrive exactly on the predicted date. Most births happen within 2 weeks of it, either side. That is why doctors call 37 to 42 weeks a full-term delivery. The due date is a target zone, not an appointment. Next, the map of the 40 weeks. Pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters, and the word simply means the 40 weeks cut into 3 blocks. Each block has its own checkups and its own things to watch. The first trimester runs to 13 weeks 6 days. Morning sickness, first heart tones, and the first trimester screen happen here. Miscarriage risk is highest in this window. So OBs commonly advise skipping alcohol and limiting strenuous activity until 12 weeks. The second trimester is 14 to 27 weeks 6 days. Typically the most comfortable stretch, which is why parents schedule travel and prenatal classes here. The anatomy scan comes at 18 to 22 weeks, where the full anatomy survey is done, and you can learn the sex. The third trimester runs from 28 weeks to birth. Swelling, heartburn, and frequent bathroom trips arrive as the body gets ready. The GBS test comes at 36 weeks. Visits turn weekly from 36 to 40, and the birth plan and hospital tour wrap up the preparation. Here is the part US parents should bookmark. The prenatal roadmap follows ACOG and CDC guidance. ACOG recommends booking the first prenatal visit at 8 to 10 weeks after a positive test. Some practices see you as early as 6 to 7 weeks, if there is a history of miscarriage or fertility treatment. Let's line up the whole schedule. 10 to 13 weeks, NIPT and the NT ultrasound. 18 to 22 weeks, the anatomy scan. 24 to 28 weeks, the glucose test. At 28 weeks, ROGM if you are Rh negative. 36 weeks, the GBS culture, then weekly visits until delivery. The tool lays these windows out, from the date you enter. One test worth a plain English intro, NIPT. It is a blood draw from the pregnant parent that screens the baby's chromosomes. Reliable from 10 weeks onward. Under updated ACOG guidance, it is now offered routinely to all pregnant patients, regardless of age. The cost question, since insurance varies. Coverage differs plan to plan, and out-of-pocket costs typically run from $200 to $800, depending on plan and lab. Worth a quick call to your insurer before the draw. One practical note for working parents. Telling your employer and starting the FMLA paperwork. Both track from a documented week count. Having your weeks in writing makes that conversation concrete. And because this is sensitive health data, the tool runs entirely in your browser. The dates you enter never leave your device. Open the developer tools and watch the network tab. You will see 0 outbound requests when you submit a date. One principle above everything else. The numbers from this tool are informational. The final call always belongs to the ultrasound and your OB. Use the tool to plan the days in between and decide in the exam room. One number today, just 280. First day of the last period, plus 280 days. The tool handles the rest. Find out exactly how far along you are in 1 second. See you in the next video.